All right, let's get into this. It's been on my mind. It's been on my chest. The world is somewhat crumbling.
Okay.
We talk sports. Now we're getting pretty dark because it's a dark time. Israel and Gaza are currently at war with each other in the Middle East.
Now, I'm going to need you to give me a rundown, short rundown, but brief rundown, but I need an understanding of what's going on because I'm not well versed in it at all.
I'll give you what I know. Obviously, I don't know everything.
Okay.
I'll give everybody a rundown because it's a war. I feel like we should all be aware of what's going on. So Israel is the bigger country. We're allies with Israel, the United States. We're allies. Israel, inside of Israel is a little spot called Gaza.
Okay.
Gaza is separate from Israel. They're Palestine people. I don't know.
Palestinian.
Yep. I don't know the correct terminology, and I apologize in advance. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm just saying what I know, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But so Palestinian people live inside of Gaza. Okay. Israel is for the Jewish, from my understanding, majority-wise. There's always been tensions in the Middle East with that part, with Iran and Gaza and Palestine and Israel. Those people have always been at pretty tense relationships with each other. They've never been best friends. And from my understanding, Gaza invaded Israel either last week or it was a planned attack with Iran, who is notoriously a terrorist organization, terrorist country who is on the side of Gaza and those people who do not like the United States by any stretch. And because of that, do not like Israel because we are allies. So Gaza plans an attack with Iran to invade Israel in order to take Israel. That's their plan, take Israel. The Hamas is the terrorist organization in Gaza who did this whole thing, planned this whole thing. They're like the ISIS of Gaza, if you want to call it that, okay. The terrorist organization. So they are invading Israel, looking for. If I'm being honest, I don't know the baseline cause. So why is this all going down? So they invaded, right? Israel's coming back now on the retaliation side. The United States is sending our ships over there and kind of flexing our muscles, if you want to call it,
right,
to show that we're with Israel and we're allies with Israel. So that's where we're at right now. There's, Israel sending in a lot of rockets on Gaza. Gaza's sending rockets back. Women and children are dying. It's a war. It's a straight up war.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's pretty surreal in my head because this might be the first time in my life outside of 9/11 that life has become I'm human, right? Especially with our border and everybody coming in. So hold on, back up. So that was my baseline kind of explanation, okay. Not the greatest explanation. There's a war going on. Two people don't like each other, and that's kind of what's going on.
Yes.
But where it gets frisky is because all these civilians of different countries are now dying in that area that they're there. Americans have died. The British people have died. A lot of people outside of just that area are dying, which is kind of snowballing into a world war, so to speak.
Okay.
So that's where my fear is World War III. But what I also fear is the border that we have in the United States has been, as I don't know if you've seen the news, but our border is open. It's wide open for people to come in. And we've had, I think, 200,000 people, it might even be more than that, come into our country illegally. And we don't know who these people are. And the Hamas has notoriously sent people into the United States to form these terrorist groups in order to attack the United States. So what's going on? We're at war. Well, we're not technically at war, but I think we're on our way. And it's not good for anybody. And it just hurts because a war is a war, right? We had Vietnam. We had World War II, World War I. We had all of these wars. The problem is we didn't have nukes. Nukes are a thing in the world, unfortunately. And when you have all these emotional leaders with nukes on our hands, one wrong decision and it's it. That's what I fear. I fear that if nukes come into play, it's over. Like there's no option, because one person sets it off. It's just who's next. And
Right.
Nukes, I don't think people truly understand the capabilities of the nuke and how powerful it is. With the amount that are at play and at stake here, you can pretty much wipe out the earth, which is my fear. So I'm vouching for peace. I mean, who am I to vouch for peace? But we're at war, and I think everybody should at
What
least
do you mean?
do their research. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Who are you to vouch for peace?
Like, I'm not a Joe Rogan with millions of followers who I can stand up and make an announcement like, what are we doing? Obviously, I'm 20 years old. We have, I think, 50 subscribers. But
Okay.
I'm going to do my part to, like, let's think about this. Let's take a step back and let's be peaceful. Let's figure something out, because the way it's trending, it's not a good ending for anybody. And I don't think people really come to terms with that. So that's what frustrates me. That's what scares me. But I'm doing.
Well, first, I think let's pray for the people in Israel.
Absolutely.
And everybody who's involved. What's going on there clearly is it's not only surreal, but it's ruining lives all over the world at this point for the Israeli, Palestinian, and the Jewish community as well. So we want to extend as much grace and extend as many prayers as possible to those people. Any Jewish people that you want to have your hand on them right now if you can. Clearly, it's a brutal situation, and it's a surreal thing for them, because those people might have family in those areas who are directly affected. So we want to send as much gratitude and hope and care to them as much as possible. And if there's any organizations that are sending things, you could send it to apuncherschance@gmail.com if you guys have any information you want to send to us about sending things over or helping people, donating. Those are things that we definitely want to do. That being said, I want to talk about some of the things you said about what's going on. Yeah, I think it is scary. It is a scary thing, and you hope that the people that are running these countries, specifically ours, Israel, Palestine, and Gaza in the particular areas, are going. Hopefully, they end up understanding that it's bigger than their fight. It's for a lot of other people, and I don't necessarily know if I'm going to touch on the illegal nature of how people are getting into this country, but to know that they're here, we hope that at least we extend to them the same prayer and grace to be in this country the way that they need to be, and if they're doing it for good and doing the things that they need to do to help their families. Because yes, it's not the right thing in most views, I would say, in a lot of people's thought process, but at least by the process, right? But people are here to start a better life, so you hope that they're doing that, in hopes to change the world in a better way.
And I'm for that. To make that clear, I'm for you searching for a better life and doing what you have to do for a better life. What I'm not for is Iran and Gaza and these people that don't like us developing strategies with the Hamas, the terrorist organization, and sending their people into the United States. And
Right.
Starting to plant their seeds here. That's what I'm not. That's what I was trying to point towards. That's where my head went. If you're just a natural civilian trying to make a better life, maybe.
What do you think the timeline is on some of this?
I've been thinking about that, and I actually have no idea. I was thinking about like how long the Korean War and how long Vietnam lasted. I don't know, because every day I'm seeing something new, and it seems like Gaza's already in the talks for a peace treaty. So that'd be good. Let's figure something out. But realistically, I don't think it lasts. I don't think this specific situation lasts long. I think if something else is going to happen, then it's going to branch out into somewhere else, like Iran or the United States, or something else happens where it's not just this war, where it transitions to something else.
When's the last time we've been, in your thoughts, this vulnerable?
This is the most vulnerable I've ever felt.
Got it. Yeah, and that's just timing, right? Like, I think for your age and the people between 18 to 22, they haven't seen some of what's going on. I mean, I think if you're in the 22 to 24 to 29-year-old range, you've seen some things and you've been a part of some of the war in Afghanistan and the Bin Laden situation as well. And those things got resolved the way they got resolved, which gave us some relief. And now there's new problems that, as the power of this world, we have to get involved in. And we don't have to, but we feel obligated to. Mm-hmm. And I think as an ally, it's a good thing that we are involved to help and do our part. But it does affect the rest of the world, and it affects our world specifically in a way that we hope that it doesn't become a trickle down, right? And so I don't know what the solutions are, but if there is a world war that is pending, you hope that there's not a draft. You hope that there's not things that, potentially pull other people in the age groups along the way, because that's my fear. That's
getting
my
drafted.
Fear, is getting drafted and having to go protect something that I don't know if is always protecting me. Protect something that maybe I don't understand the cause,
mm-hmm.
And protecting something that maybe my life isn't prepared to protect, right? Like, I got a life that I enjoy, which is why I love being an American, and I'm trying to continue to build that life. But yeah, those things are real. Those things are real. Those things happen, and I can only imagine being in that scenario, being drafted at a point in the the 70s and the 80s, and even in earlier than that. So, somebody here, one of us probably knows somebody who got drafted.
Yeah.
At some point in their lives, and it's a crazy thing, man. So, prayers to the Israeli community, prayers to the Palestinian community, the Jewish community as well, and we hope that they find solace in this. They find some relief, and there's some grace extended to them along the way. So,
yeah, I mean, not that I want to talk about this, because I really don't. It scares me, but some things I feel like I'm obligated, especially if I have a platform like this, that you have to talk about it. You have to
use it the right way.
You have to bring light to what's going on, because I feel like it's only right that everybody understands what's happening in the world, because even though it's thousands of miles away from us, it does affect us, and
it does.
It could potentially affect us more in the future. What do we know? But I'm just hoping something happens where we find peace and everybody's all right.
Yeah, no, that's the hope.